Good evening, everybody, and thank you for your patience. We will start the meeting right now. So you have joined the Sun Peaks Community Engagement, and on the very front, you see the meetings that we have had so far with the Sun Peaks Steering Committee. And now we're in the Community Engagement webinar, and then we will take back your feedback to the Board of Education. I want to start by respectfully honoring and acknowledging that we are in the unceded territory of the Secwepemc people, where we live, love, and learn every day. You will see tonight or this evening, you have a panel. So you have, and I'll let them just introduce themselves. So I'm Rhonda Nixon, Superintendent.
Trina Cassidy, Secretary Treasurer.
Grant Riley, Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education.
Bill Hamblett, Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education.
Bessie Mochikas, Assistant Superintendent, Inclusive Education.
Art McDonald, Director of Facilities.
Sherry Christensen, Director of Transportation.
And we really appreciate your patience this evening. Sorry about the technical difficulty. So the purpose of coming together this evening is really to share what we have done to address feedback from parents and staff. Excuse me. And the feedback has been about the following things: keeping all students K-9 at Sun Peaks in a multi-campus configuration, moving children from the grade 8 to 9 portable location, known as P2, to the grade 4 to 7 location, known as P5, to create community by reducing the multi-campus K-9 school locations, maintaining existing facilities at the On the Hill location as well as all locations, providing effective student supports across a multi-campus K-9 school, and providing additional learning spaces. And number two, to have parents and staff prioritize based on available resources their main requests of the district until the new school is built. And we will be sending out a survey following, it'll be tomorrow, with the video of this webinar, and we'll send it to every parent and to every staff member. The purpose this evening is to engage you at a level of collaborate. And what that means to us is that we have had a number of small conversations, community consultation in the spring, and now we're having another consultation. And it's because we do want to hear from you. We want to understand what your perspective is. And therefore, we expect that when we hear from you, we're able to shape our recommendations to the Board of Education. I'm just going to turn it over now to Assistant Superintendent Hamblett.
Thank you, Superintendent Nixon. So Sun Peaks, some of the more recent unique history and configurations of the school, as you can see in the chart before you, starting in 2012, 2013, it was a K-5 school with Sun Peaks proper being K-5, and the grade 6 is going to Rayleigh. Designated catchment 7, 8, 9 would be Brocklehurst Middle School, and the designated catchment school for grades 10 to 12 being Norcam Senior Secondary. As the years go on, 2013, 2014, and in 2017 to 2018, you'll see that a grade is added those years. Again, the catchment area schools remain Brocklehurst Middle School and Norcam Senior Secondary School. Going to 2021, the school grew to include grades K to 9. Sun Peaks K to 9 was a designated catchment school. And then with Norcam Senior Secondary School starting in grade 10, that was the catchment area school for those students. It remains through that time all the way to 23, a K to 9 school with Norcam Senior Secondary being the catchment area for the senior students, grades 10, 11, 12. Since 2010, this has been a community-based passion to build the school in Sun Peaks. Having a school on a ski hill was seen as unique and an opportunity for students to develop their skills throughout their day. Having a 4-day week for students in K-7 creates these opportunities. There was an understanding as the school is a compromise, not having all the amenities of a brick and mortar school like science labs and indoor gymnasiums and the like. And I'll turn over to Assistant Superintendent Riley.
Thank you so much, Assistant Superintendent Hamblett. This slide is just a history of the enrollment at Sun Peaks School. As you can see, from 2013 to 2023, there has been substantial growth from 45 to 134 students. Important to recognize, though, that 134 students also includes 3 additional grades, 7, 8, 9 being added. One of the things that you'll recognize over the last 3 years as the growth has been stagnant from 132 to 134, there has not been a ton of growth. And really, if you take away the 8-9 population from 2023, so take 25 students away from 134, you get 109. 109 really is not far off from 104 in 2018. So as much as we have a growth of population at some peaks, we don't have an overwhelming growth in the last 4 years. Also important to recognize that primary students, we've actually seen a bit of a decrease in growth the last 3 years. So 2021, 2022, there was 24 and 29 K1. This year, there's only 20. So just a trend that we're aware of. On the side, just so that the information is shared as well, in the Sun Peaks Academy, we currently have 14 students in grade 10 to 12, registered with that Cool. One of the things that the Sun Peaks Steering Committee wanted us to investigate was how many students are being bused from Sun Peaks to Kamloops schools. So we have provided those numbers here in this slide. So you can see that the majority of the numbers are being bused to Norcam Secondary, 10 through 12. We have 29 students doing that. And then K through 9, we have 18 students currently riding on a bus down to a Kamloops school. There's a variety of schools that are attending. So altogether, really K through 12, there are 47 students coming out of Sun Peaks going down to Kamloops schools. And this is a slide just for some understanding as to the class sizes at Sun Peaks School. So there are two comparators here. There is all schools in SD 73. So that's the average of every single school in our district. And then there's an average of rural schools in SD 73. So as you can see, really K through 7, Sun Peaks School has quite low class sizes, especially 1 through 3 and 4 through 7 when compared across the district. 8 through 12, they are a little bit larger as they only have the one class with 25 students.
And I just wanted to stop before we continue on and just sort of explain the two different responsibilities here. So the Board of Education makes decisions about opening and closing schools, reconfiguring grades, designating schools for students, and approving budgets and amendments of them. And when we received some feedback earlier, I know there was a statement by a couple of parents where there was the assumption that the board actually was the one to defeat the idea of moving the grade 8 to 9 portables to the grade 4 to 7 area. And actually, I have to say that I have to take full responsibility for that. We didn't request a board motion at the time. It was a recommendation at the time by me and by our staff here, because if you look at superintendent responsibilities, we facilitate community engagement and we provide information to the board. And we only ask for a recommendation or for approval on decisions we're certain about. And so this evening, it is about clarifying the intentions of all of the parents who are on tonight, as well as any of the parents who end up watching the video and then taking the survey, to really understand your perspectives so that I can gather that together, review it with our staff, and bring forward to the board recommendations that we feel are confident about, reflecting all of opinions that we're able to access this evening.
So again, some more background information on our capital plan for the district. And in this year's capital plan submission to the Ministry of Education, we listed our 5 top priorities for new school projects. And they are Aberdeen Secondary, Juniper West Elementary. The number 3 priority is Sun Peaks K-12 school, and then 2 schools in the Aberdeen area of Kamloops. One of the challenges we have, particularly in the southwest sector of Kamloops, is all of our schools are over capacity, so we have no ability to move students around, and that's what lends to some of the priorities. Just for some other background, in the spring of 2023, we received funding for Pineview Valley Elementary. We expect to open that in the fall of 2026. Also in the spring of 2023, we received funding support for Bachelor Heights Elementary. And we are anticipating that if we get funding in the fall of 2024, or in the spring of 2024 rather, we would have this school open in the fall of 2027. And then working our way down the priority list, if we were to get support for 1 new school per year, we would anticipate support for Sun Peaks in the spring of 2026, funding in 2027, and opening in the fall of 2030. Again, that's based on the assumption that we get support for 1 new school per year. which we can't commit to. That's at the discretion of the Ministry of Education.
And we're in the position where when we have schools getting too full in the southwest sector or any part of the jurisdiction, we always have to look at the available space around us. And it's never a desire to move students from their designated school, but we've had to do it at different times while waiting for a new school. And it's become all too common, of course, in the southwest sector in particular. But I would like to draw your attention to the fact that at the end of the presentation, you'll have an option of considering Heffley Creek Elementary School as a location that has space. At the present time, it has capacity for 145 students. Its current utilization is 15% with 22 students in it. And it houses currently a K-3 with at-school students, which are online students. So it has the amenities of a gym and a library, a computer lab, a art room, meeting spaces, a playground, playfield, as well as transportation within 40 minutes. And I raise this because, as you know, you're going to give your feedback about what it is you most desire for your children. And this is an option that will be raised later on. In the spring of 2020, I just want to review some of the priorities that have happened throughout the years and what we have done operationally to accommodate them. In the spring of 2020, parents prioritized at that time with Superintendent Cito basically they wanted grade 8-9 students to stay. There was a board motion to fully integrate the grade 8 and 9 students, and the board purchased a portable for $136,000, and that portable is currently at P2. By 2020 and 21, parents still prioritized having a school and sufficient classroom space, and so we rented the conference center because of enrollment growth. And you'll see there, it was for $74,000. Then 22 to 23, we still have parents prioritizing a school with sufficient classroom space, and we purchased, the board purchased 2 portables and SiteWorks to go into P5 at $1.2 million. 2012 to the present, staff work together to maintain a multi-campus school at Sun Peaks, and we maintain it in the case of portables at P5, P2, and on the hill, so for $25,000 a year. May 2nd, some parents wanted to reduce the multi-campus location, so that was 2023. The Sun Peaks PAC met with our leadership team, and they actually raised at that point, could we consider moving the grade 8-9 portables to the grade 4-7 portables location? And a discussion occurred, and then right around the same time, you'll remember by May 9th, we had staff rectifying a plumbing concern at P5. And that plumbing concern sort of just was a distraction, and it really was upsetting, and I know it was because of the emails and the calls and so on, and we really reacted as quickly as we could to manage that, and I believe we did very well. June 2nd, staff reviewed maintenance needs at the portables on the hill. Now, when we went there, I was actually part of that meeting, and I found that it was very interesting to see the number of things that needed to be done. A furnace replacement, portable skirting, venting on roofs, stair replacements, lighting replacements, switch and receptacle replacements, and additional gutters and downspouts. And actually learning about that at the same time as there's a request to take the portables from the 8-9 area to the 4-7 area. We actually met with the steering committee, and at that time, the steering committee asked us to get a survey done, and they wanted to have a greater understanding of how widespread the interest was in moving the grade 8-9 portables to the grade 4-7 location. And the reason was we also had maintenance concerns that we wanted to take care of in the summer. So as you can see there, Principal Boyle had surveyed the parents, and it was a fairly split result. So out of 23 responses, 13 families were in favor of moving the grade 8-9 portable to the P5 location, and 10 were not. And the benefits that were discussed were just listed there: greater collaboration for students and staff. Students would have more peers to connect with during lunch and breaks. There'd be an increased sense of belonging and leadership and mentorship opportunities, increased supervision, and less distance for staff to travel between the sites. The challenges would be that Currently, there is no water or washroom in the grade 8, 9 portables, resulting in students and staff having to go into the other portable that would be if we moved it to that location. So going in and out of the grade 4 to 7 area, limited room for future portables for enrollment growth, and grade 8, 9 students would have limited access to Sun Peaks Village. So on August 28th, we actually advised the board that it was timely not to move the portables because if you recall at that time, we're doing an intake of new enrollment and we know that we need to be mindful of that. And so we actually advised the board and they did pass a motion to use the 50,000 originally set aside to move the portables and actually use it in conjunction with $10,000, so 60,000 in total to do the capital upgrades to the portables. And that was an excellent decision because we needed to do those capital improvements. And as you know, if you're in that area, it has made improvements. I'm just going to turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Machikas because I know some of the feedback was, what have we done for inclusive education supports?
Thanks, Superintendent Nixon. In terms of meeting the needs of diverse learners, as part of a district process, we look at enrollment in the spring of the previous year, so spring of 2023. We look at students at each school along with those students who have ministry designations. And part of that is what drives our staffing allocations. So it's important to note at Sun Peaks, they were given 0.4 2 days worth of learning assistance at the beginning of the previous school year and bumped up to 0.5 by the end of last year, so June. To meet the needs of students with the current location, we increased the LART time to be 1.0, so a full-time learning assistance resource teacher. As a district, we also made sure a school and family consultant was assigned to Sun Peaks 1 day a week. A school and family consultant is a qualified counselor that can work with any of the students enrolled at Sun Peaks, as well as some district staff such as inclusion support teachers, home hospital teachers, and the Chris Rose teacher. Worked in general with classrooms and with students who had diverse needs, and also worked in-home directly with families to support students. Come October of this year, there were challenges with the CEAs at Sun Peaks, and you were down 2 CEAs in community. So we then, in addition to the 0.5 increase in LART that was already allocated, we added another 0.2 full-time learning assistance resource teacher. In addition, we added an Aboriginal support teacher, 0.4, which is the equivalent of 2 days per week. And for 16 days in October, including the first day of November, an additional TTOC, so that's a qualified teacher, was allocated to Sun Peaks to help meet the needs of diverse learners. Since that time, CEA has returned to work, so that additional TTOC is no longer at Sun Peaks, but all of those other supports remain in place for the duration of the year.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Machikas. And so by November 9th through the 13th, I received 2 parents' emails that were sent to the minister, to the board, and to a number of senior staff. And really what was happening there is, and I just sort of encapsulated it here, there was this cry to say, you know what, we really want a new portable now. Let's get the new portable set up before we're buried in snow and help the current staff and students, then move the grade 8 and 9s. Let's seek a better classroom setup. We have a hugely positive impact of our current CEAs supporting our students, but wouldn't it be great if we can move them together? And also look for local helpers. There was an understanding that this is a time of difficulty with recruitment. But in reviewing it with our staff and the Board of Education, I felt that we needed to host a community meeting by Zoom. And the reason I felt that way and our staff here felt that way is we wanted to give you all an opportunity to hear what has been done, what the priorities have been, what has been prioritized by different parents in the community. And so from there, we actually worked with the steering committee to design a survey or have them review and actually provide support to revise a survey. So we have created one that will be sent out, and it will be following this meeting, but tomorrow, because we realized it would be best with the video of the information shared this evening. There will be a requirement to verify your email address and your name. And I just want to explain that. We have a very sincere interest in knowing your needs as a parent or a staff member. And we do want to know who you are so we can email if we need to clarify anything we don't have an understanding of. We also want to know if you're what grade your children are in, and you'll see those questions as part of what we propose. Question 1 will be sent to all the grade 4 to 9 Sun Peaks school parents and staff, and questions 2 and 3 will be sent to all K to 9 Sun Peaks parents and staff. So here are the questions. The first one that you will be or the purpose of the survey, I should say, will be the first thing you see when you get the survey. So please complete the survey to learn about your priorities with respect to the current multi-campus configuration of the K to 9 Sun Peaks school. And as stated earlier, we will be asking for some identifiers, which we normally wouldn't ask for. But in this situation, we really want to get back to you and we really want to understand you. The first question will really be a restatement of what you've seen earlier with a few more additions. So question 1, providing the context. There has been discussion about moving the grade 8 to 9 portable to where the grade 4 to 7 portables are located. Through discussion, these are the benefits and challenges. You'll see those listed in the survey. And actually, we've already discussed them, but there are 2 on the right-hand side for challenges I should actually highlight here. So 1 is limited room for future portables has been mentioned, but the third bullet down, to add a separate washroom portable to the P5 location would remove the space for future portables for enrollment growth and would cost over $150,000. Also, grade 8 to 9 students, and this was stated before, would have limited access to Sun Peaks Village, and that was important to some parents and students. So the question you will answer on the survey is, would you support the grade 8 to 9 portable moving from the P2 location to the P5 location, yes or no? And you would provide your response. The second question will go to everybody. Question 2, we expect that it will be potentially 7 years before a new school is built in Sun Peaks. Knowing this, are you satisfied with the current multi-campus format of education? And this is important to say yes or no and provide your comments. And then the next question, which we ask whenever we're considering a catchment change or a temporary relocation of students based on need for space or other parents. Sometimes it's parents' needs or kids' needs, or it's a combination. So question 3, until such time as a new school is built, if there is a desire for a full service school with a gym, a library, art room, etc., would you consider having your K to 7 child attend Heffley Creek Elementary School? And or would you consider having your grade 8 or 9 child attend Norcam Secondary School? You will have an option to answer all of these. So you could say, yes, I would consider having my child attend Heffley Creek until new school is built. Yes, I would consider having my grade 8, 9 child attend Norcam Secondary until a new school is built, or no, I would prefer that my child stay at the Sun Peaks Multi-Campus School, and provide any comments you choose. Now it's time, if you have questions, we will be able to take questions for approximately 15 minutes. And if you are interested, you can submit them and we will be receiving them through a moderator. And any questions we don't get to, we can certainly answer later on. Hello. Some of you are putting your hands up, but actually I've just been informed that you need to go into what's called the Q&A. If you look at the bottom of your screen where it says Q&A, click on there and you can write your question. Thank you. I'll read the statement as it appears, and then I will provide somewhat of a response and then turn it to my colleagues if I feel like there's a need. So the statement is appears as though your only solution to any of this is suggesting busing 100+ children to Heffley or do nothing. Have you considered any other options? The answer is yes, we have. The options we're considering are we can have the students remain at the current multi-campus with any suggestions you might have in the comments. Alternatively, we can consider if you have an older child and you think, you know what, I'd rather my older child goes to NORCAM secondary, but I would love to see my primary child stay. We would listen to those comments. There's a lot of room on this survey for you to provide us with exactly what it is you see as being the best alternative. And we will take all of those into consideration. Thank you. So the second comment is the presentation mentioned Heffley Creek is at 15% capacity. Has there been thought of turning that into a K-12 school? And my response at this stage would be that hasn't been a consideration at this point to turn it into a K-12 school because it is actually constructed, I believe, as a K-7 school with a gym of an appropriate size. We haven't considered that, but I thank you for that comment. And there is no more questions at this time, but I do want to remind you that we'll probably get a few more, so we'll just wait. But I want to remind you that no decisions have been made. In fact, we are looking for you to provide some examples of what you would most prefer in the survey. Oh, we have another one. Given the timeline for a new school, these questions should be presented to all parents of a child to all parents of children attending Sun Peak School. A child in grade 1 and 2 right now will have multiple prospects since we know delays can happen. That's not a question, but I think that what you're stating is true. And the intent is that this was to be sent to all parents of Sun Peak's children, as well as all staff. That was the intent, and I believe was sent to all parents. All right, so there's another question. We were just talking about the last statement, but I think we'll go on to the next question, which is how much would it cost to have the grade 8-9 portable to P5? And the rest of the commentary, it's 2 kilometers. Also, the kids there, including mine, have to use another portable's washroom. So what's the difference? I feel like the washroom portable is a deflection. Well, thank you for that. I will turn over the first part of the question, which is, can you just put it back up? How much would it cost to have the grade 8-9 portable taken to P5? And Director McDonald will answer.
Yep, thank you. So our most recent portable move was about $110,000 within Kamloops.
Actually, we just want to finish, even though I want to just finish this last one. Also, the kids there, including mine, have to use another portable's washroom. So what's the difference? I will get Director McDonald to share the response there.
So the difference currently is the 8-9 students are using the academy washrooms, and the layout of that portable is a bit different, where the students just come in the back, go down a mini hallway into the washrooms, where at the P5 location, they would actually have to walk through the classroom space to use the washrooms.
All right, the next one is multi, sorry, just make sure it's on. The next one is a multi-part question, but we'll just divide it up. Has the idea of K1 students going to P5 been explored? Could the age of students that are going to the permanent location at P5 be relooked? The answer to both is we can look at various configurations when we get the answers to the questions or questions like this. We can look at that and we'll look at that. And could the age that are going to the permanent location at P5 be reconsidered or looked at again? Yes. The answer is yes, we can do that. At the present time, though, until we get results from the survey, we wouldn't be able to, I can't comment on that. With the new daycare opening tomorrow, many of the new 2024 Ks will be comfortable in that area anyhow, and possibly a library, etc. there. Yes. Speaking as a new kindergarten parent of a December baby, this would be easier for parents. That's a very good point. To get their kindergarten students to and from school in all seasons without the hike for the youngest kids of the school, and also the stress of the little ones having to be confident skiers on the Platte. And in November, just an idea, although I'm sure it has been thought of before. These are good ideas. We have had some thoughts of that before, but I do appreciate the way you've explained it. Thank you. Okay, excellent. The question is, what is the option of placing all of the students in portables in the P5 area? Director McDonald.
So with the number of students that are currently at Sun Peaks, there wouldn't be sufficient room, as we only have room for 4 portables in that area.
I'll read the statement. I think there's no question, but I do think that we can confirm the statement or not. My understanding is that land, so the school site, was transferred to SD 73 from the Sun Peaks municipality as an agreement that all classrooms would be located at the site until capital is received to build the full school. Director McDonald can respond.
Yeah, that is not the agreement with Sun Peaks municipality. When we got the land from them, it was twofold. One was to have land to build a future school, and the other was to have enough land to provide some more portables in addition to the existing ones to allow for enrollment growth. And that precluded that the portables on the hill were still part of the school, as well as the 8-9 portable.
I'm wondering about the children being bused to town. Is it a consideration to include those children within our numbers to reflect the students living in our catchment? The answer to that question is yes, it is potentially the ability for us to do that, to include for potential enrollment growth, but at the present time, they are permitted to go to the schools that they are going to. And we should add that you might not, as parents, you might not know this, so it's useful for you to know that students often attend non-catchment schools for various reasons, and they're approved to do so. So the answer is yes, is potential enrollment, but we couldn't, there might be reasons why they're going to those other locations. If we choose the option to have our children remain at the SP multi-campus, Oh, Sun Peaks multi-campus, are we choosing things as they currently are with no changes, upgrades, or improvements? The answer to that question is in the comments, you can suggest, yes, we're going to move the portable. And in the comments, you can state what you would hope would happen. And we can only then assess the cost. And that's essentially what we will do. So if you state what you hope would happen, that's fine. Then we assess the cost and we present that to the board and make a recommendation based on what we know are the budgetary requirements. Okay, are there any examples of other rural communities around the province that have faced a similar situation to ours? Are there learnings from the examples we can use? I don't have an answer for that at this time. And I'm looking around at the table and people are going, well, we might need to research that. I appreciate you sharing that, but we don't have an answer immediately. So thank you for the question. We'll look at that. All right, if there's a statement, not a question, but that's okay. Please note that there is no hallway in the small portable with washrooms and the students walk through the classroom. There's no hallway. Oh, in the academy. Yes, that's right. Thank you. One person is saying, why do we have to change anything? And the answer is we don't. But and that is certainly what we're trying to figure out, is that we would like to know. And that's why one of the questions is, are you happy with the current multi-campus format? And if the answer is yes, then that means you're not needing or seeing a need to change anything other than maintenance. And that's what we're trying to find out. So that's absolutely fine. Okay, so the question is, how much does it cost to move portables 2 kilometers? And that'll be Director McDonald.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the number I gave was based on a portable move that we had this fall within Kamloops. And it's not necessarily the distance the portable moves, it's the takedown, putting the portables on a truck, moving them, setting them up, doing all of the things like stairs and ramps and skirting that add up to the cost.
I'm just going to read out the statement and then the question because I think it's instructive. A vote was made to move the portables or not by very few of the parents. Majority was in favor of moving the portables, yet you still decided against the vote. So how do our votes count in the new survey towards anything moving forward when nothing moves in the majority? So I'm just going to say that when we have a split vote of 13-10 and we have maintenance costs that were very high, we had enrollment to discern as of the beginning of the year. We made a decision based on the fact it was a split vote. Enrollment was coming in and we had maintenance costs and it was summer and we could get it done, to advise the board to use the money set aside for relocating a portable to actually deal with the maintenance costs. And now in the fall, winter, looking at whether or not to move the portable, it is important to us to see what is the result of the responses. And honestly, I can say this without bias. If it's the will of the community to move the 8-9 portables, and there's a strong will, and the comments also indicate that, we will bring that back to the board. It's just important, I think, that we stop and make sure we're doing the right thing, because a split vote is split. It's not a clear majority. So it's not about counting 1 or 2 extra people and going, oh, that's it. The decisions we make are complex, multi-factored, and they involve a lot of different moving parts. So that's my response at this time. And I hope that I was able to get across a little bit about the complexity of the decision. So the next question is, why are we not using the Sun Peaks Conference Center for schooling anymore? It's a huge waste of quality space. I'm going to ask Director McDonald to provide a response.
Yes, thank you. So when we used the conference center, it was a short-term agreement between the school district and the municipality, as we needed the space due to some significant enrollment growth. And that space bought us time to get the 2 new portables purchased and installed at the P5 location. And the municipality didn't want us using that space any longer once we had the portables there.
I am going to address one question that comes up repeatedly from an individual person, and it's about, and I'm not quite sure I understand it, and that's why I'm going to ask you to write it really, just take time to write it so that it says, would it be possible to see the breakdown of what? So when you say, would it be possible to see the breakdown? I'm not sure, of what. So I'm being sincere. We're not sure what it is you are meaning. So if you can write your question more specifically, that would be helpful. Oh, hang on here. Okay, we're trying to go back up to another part of your, would you please clarify that point that it costs 100,000 to move it 2K? The answer is yes. If we're moving it 2K, I think that's been clarified that it does cost $100,000. That's a good question. Could the grade 8-9 somehow combine with the academy of 10 to 12? That is a very interesting question. One which I don't have an answer because we are not fully in charge of the academy. But do you have anything to add, Assistant Superintendent Hamlet?
I can try. Certainly the request to have grade 8 and 9 join the Sun Peak School was requested by the community, and that took the grades 8 and 9 out of the academy, some of the students out of the academy, so that the academy was just this 10 to 12 program, which is of course the graduation program. That helps.
Great. I'm just going to read out again. Yeah, I think it'll be helpful too that remember that I am happy to read out statements, but questions are a bit easier to manage. But I'll read it out. It is not my desire to see my child or my community's children bus to another community. The grassroots community fundraised to create a school in which grew rapidly, to have SD 373 manage it, and it has continued to grow. The population here is dependent upon realistic availability. It is very different growth compared to Kamloops suburbs. What we don't have, the gym we can make up for with other assets like skiing. I'm not sure why Heffley is even a point of discussion. Aren't we here just to discuss moving the grade 8-9 portable to P5 to reduce 3 campuses to 1? Isn't that what we should be focusing on? So I will answer that. For some parents, that is exactly what the focus. We also received a number of emails from parents initially about inclusive supports. That's why we included Assistant Superintendent Machikas's answer, because it's not just about that for some parents. They were also asking about, well, do we have enough supports? How do we get supports? And others were asking about maintenance. So their concerns were about various aspects of maintaining the current multi-campus. So yeah, it was actually proposed to us to talk about a number of different things because of the questions coming in. Okay, so this one is, would it be correct to say that an easier option for SD 73 is to bus students back down to Heffley Creek Elementary? The school was reconfigured and planned for closure in 2009-10 despite an enrollment of 100 students. The growth, I'm not sure that, okay, the growth of Sun Peaks in the school community is obvious. Community school is what all parents wanted. I don't know what the question is, but thank you. now it's interesting. I've reread the statement and talked to our colleagues here. So I will say this, there is no, I remember putting a slide up very clearly that the board makes decisions and we make recommendations. There is no interest in having a predetermined solution. I will say this, whenever we've done a catchment change, it has always been a challenging and difficult discussion, but it's usually because there's a need. If indeed, when people answer the survey, they're happy with the multi-campus format and they don't want to move anything, we are fine with that. If we find out, you know what, there's another concern and, you know, maybe we find out that there's a group that wishes they could have a single school, we would report that back to the board. It's just an opportunity to hear from the community broadly, because Sun Peaks is engaged and has been invested. So no, the answer is no, there's not a predetermined solution or somehow I guess there's not a predetermined solution or an idea that that's the ideal. That's a very, we just read another one that's excellent. Just thinking of creative solutions. Are double stack portables an option for space saving? Understanding cost and environment may not allow for this, but I'm curious if this potential has ever been considered, and it has. So, Director McDonald.
Yeah, it has been considered. The biggest challenge with double stack portables, quite frankly, are the accessible ramps. And you have to think that the portables 14 feet off the ground, we're getting into ramps that are getting to be about 100 feet long to meet accessibility requirements. So we run out of space very quickly for some of those things. And we would have to basically remove the existing portables that are there because they wouldn't be suitable for that configuration.
So there's another, there's another really good question. I'm not going to say we have the answer here, but I think it's worth reading out loud. In terms of students' ideal development in grade 8 and 9, what would be the ideal option, academically speaking, to build more relationships with grade 10 to 12 or mix those students with 4 to 7? And I would say that there is you know what, you'd have different opinions in here regarding the research, but I would say cross-aged schools are common. We have a K to 12 in a district. We have an 8 to 12. We have a K to 7. So I would say that it's not that we have one preference, but I think that we'll understand from reading the comments whether you have a preference. Thank you. We had to discuss this one a little bit, so you made us think. I wonder if our lack of growth is due to the district paying to bus students out of the catchment area. Why doesn't a bus bring students to Sun Peaks? That's an excellent question. And the answer right now is that we do not bus kids to a non-catchment area school. So we wouldn't bring them into a catchment or a non-catchment area school. But for the kids that are going out, they are going to, if they are in 10 to 12, they are going to NORCAM, which is their designated school. And for any of the other kids that you saw in the initial slides that are busing out, like all students, parents do have an option if there is a room in the school to ask for a transfer. So it would be about making a commitment not to do that, or there might be a reason that you or I are not aware of. And that's where it gets tricky, because in any school we look in our district, there are non-catchment area students because of varying reasons. And sometimes it's a myriad of reasons, and some of them are personal for students. So it's an option for them to ask to be transferred to another school. Anyway, what is the likelihood that a new portable will be allocated for our school? I don't have the answer to that, but we can. Yeah. Yes, okay. Oh. I will read this out loud, and then I'm going to pass it over to Director McDonald because he does have some insight. And then if there's anyone else who would like to comment, we can. Thank you for making the time and space for our school community. Should all remain as is and the existing 8-9 portables not be moved, what is the likelihood that a new portable will be allocated for our school for the 24-25 school year?
So as we do for all of our schools in the spring as part of the long range facility plan, we look at potential enrollment growth in the enrollment forecast for the following year, and that determines whether or not we look at placing additional portables at schools.
And thank you very much, Director McDonald. And the likelihood of any of these decisions will depend on comments that are made as well. So I want you to really believe and know that the reason we're collecting your names and we're collecting your emails is because we will go through all of the responses and we will provide the board with the feedback. So if we understand why you want something, that's also helpful. I'm just going to read the very last one. Oh, sorry, it starts up here. I would like to chime in with the idea to have the grade 8-9 join the academy next door. I wonder if it would be possible to visit the schedules of the two campuses to allow for overlapping breaks to let kids mingle and to give the teachers at that location the opportunity to collaborate. So rather than combining the two campuses, just create an environment for the two groups to mingle. That is very lovely. And I'm not saying we can't do it. I think Assistant Superintendent Hamlet earlier indicated that that might be possible. And then the next one, the new Sun Peaks Daycare is a beautiful new facility. Is there any possibility of a new facility like that being built at the P5 location to house all of the students until a new school is built? Is something like that in the budget? I can answer that without going to Secretary Treasurer Cassidy. The answer to that, I'll let Director McDonald share a little bit more.
Yes, that was similar to a previous question that was asked about relocating students there, but there is not sufficient space in the P5 location for all the students, knowing that we can only fit 4 portables.
So it looks like we are. Oh, we have more? Okay, I'll tell you what though. I bet you, I'm just going to double check one thing. The time that we are to end is 7:30. So we will answer questions until that time and then close this meeting. But I don't want you to be sad or think that we won't be answering your questions, because we will. I just want you to know that. So we'll do our very best. Okay, next one. What will the deadline be for the survey? I feel that many families will want to discuss with other families and need such time prior to completing the survey. Well, if you ask me in a perfect world what I would love, I'd love for you to have a deadline of Friday. And the reason is And we could make it Monday, but the reason is I'd love to be able to look at the data over the weekend, come back with a preliminary report for the board. But I think we make it Friday, see how many responses we get. If we don't have a really high response rate, we'll extend it to Monday, but we'll put it out Tuesday, give you till Friday to have your discussions quickly. What will be where's that one? I just remember it. What will the guarantee be that Sun Peaks won't come off the list? That's a board decision. I do not believe that the board at this time has made any indication that I'm aware of that they would take Sun Peaks off the list. There is a deep-seated community love of a new school in Sun Peaks, and the board has demonstrated commitment since 2012 to honoring the passion and commitment of this unique campus. So it's not like, I really want you to understand that I'm not calling this community engagement because I think this is in any way, but to come up with the best solutions while waiting for a new school. The board has made that commitment. So it's not for me or anyone else to say that they would take that commitment lightly and change their capital plan, although they reserve the right to do so. There's been no indication of that. Hypothetically, if a private donor was willing to donate funds towards building a brick and mortar school, would this decrease the 7-year timeline? Well, I will turn it to Director McDonald.
I think I'll have to put a caveat on my answer that it would depend on the amount of money. If somebody came up with $50 million, that might help the ministry look at it more seriously. But we are dependent on the ministry for basically 100% of funding on new capital projects. So I can't give you a real answer either way, but knowing that we are reliant on the ministry, I would say likely not.
Their comment here about the kilometers and moving portables. One of the comments was, if Art can explain when you move a portable, it's not a per kilometer fee. That might help us understand, or is it a per kilometer fee is the question.
No, it's not a per kilometer fee. It is based on all the work that they need to do. So they have to mobilize to get to the portable. There's removing stairs, ramps, disconnecting electrical, having the portables broken in half, loading the portables onto trucks, which in some cases require a crane. Once they're on the trucks, all of the existing underneath wood, which is called cribbing, is removed from the site. Then they have to set up the new site with all of the cribbing. The portables get placed again with a crane. Then they have to rebuild the portables, join them together, reconnect electrical, add all the skirting and everything else, the stairs and ramps. So that's how you get to the $100,000.
I hope that helps. Thank you very much, Director McDonald. This is a very interesting statement and question. In the past, basic discussions have taken place with the SD73 administration about the idea of Sun Peak School becoming a school of choice, like a mountain academy or something similar. Students outside the catchment could also attend. Is this school of choice option something that SD73 would consider? And the answer would be, yes, we would consider it, because we always consider any of these options, but I do look at one of my colleagues who seems to have a lot of ideas. So just one moment.
Yeah, thanks, Superintendent Nixon. It's definitely something we could consider, but it's important to recognize that schools of choice are not provided busing. So students who are outside of the catchment or would be able to attend, but they'd be responsible for getting to the Sun Peak School on their own.
That was an excellent addition, Assistant Superintendent Riley. If the choice to move the portable is made, would the move happen during the school year or would it happen at the end of the school year? Director McDonald, do you have answer.
Yeah, I believe it would be at the end of the school year. The portable moving companies are booked up quite solid and they're usually 3 to 4 months lead time. There's also the disruption to the students. The portable will be down for a period of at least 2 to 3 weeks. And then we also have the environmental conditions up at Sun Peaks once the snow really gets going.
Will the survey results and comments be made public? This is what I can promise you about that. When we made the decision to ask for personal identifiers, I have FOIPA problems with making them public. But what I can do is, just like we're being transparent this evening, I can put questions and answers that are from parents up on the website without the identifiers. I just can't put the raw data up because it actually violates privacy regulations. I'll read this out loud, but I already know that this is such a lovely idea, and I really wish I could say yes to it, but it's not something I can say yes to. So there are many community members with a background in construction and contracting and who own flatbed trailers. If we were able to gain assistance from our Sun Peaks community, would that bring down the price to move portables? And the answer is that we have employee contracts and we have to abide by them, and so we cannot create contracts outside. Now, I would say that if it was a contracted service, I still think that we have liability issues. And I'm looking at the Secretary Treasurer who is nodding, and the insurance only allows us to use third-party contractors. So the answer is no.
I missed any? I mean, looking back.
We actually got to all of your questions. I'm very glad about that, but there's still a few minutes. So we'll just give you a few moments to think. So this is a very important question too. SD 73 does not provide, well, it's a statement and a question. SD 73 does not provide any busing to any of the Sun Peaks campuses. So how is it different from a school of choice? And the answer is it isn't a school of choice. It functions like every other school under policy 17. So we provide busing to schools where it meets certain guidelines for walk limits, and we also provide courtesy rides when it's possible, and we have an existing route. So Sun Peaks does not differ from any other school actually in our system. I would like to thank Jen Boyle for all she's done and her creative solutions in a challenge, or for support in a challenging situation. Yay, Jen. That's very, very smart. And I can clarify that I don't think we've been clear about how the survey set up so that you can take some solace in what I'm about to say. So somebody here wrote, in the line of questioning on the survey, it seems to be that we either like the current setup or would rather move to Heffley Creek. Is it possible to change the layout of the survey to allow people to dislike the multi-campus layout but to have that as a preference to move. It actually does enable you to do that because you can choose multiple answers. So I think you're going to find that you could choose, you can achieve what you're asking. You can achieve to say, you dislike a multi-campus layout, but to have that as the preference instead of moving to Heffley Creek, you can, because you don't have to answer that you want to move to Heffley Creek at all. You'll see that when you have the choices you have, we'll be able to tell. That's great. So yeah, so you can answer no. And then the next one you can answer yes. So you'll see that it is flexible. I know the way we presented it probably didn't make it appear that way, but there's lots of flexibility. All right, everybody from Sun Peaks. First of all, I just want to say thank you for, oh, is there another question that we missed? Oh, wait, there's 3 more and we have 3 minutes, so we should do that. Hang on. Has anyone measured the distance from Burfield Drive to P5? I will ask. Direct. No. No, nobody has done that. Is that? Oh, it's a busing question. Sorry. Go ahead, Sherry.
Assuming it's a question about walk limits, would be my guess.
So it's a good question. I like your question, but the answer, and please don't misunderstand when we say it hasn't been measured, it really hasn't been measured, but we can certainly answer this later because I understand that where you're going with the question. The second question, could the grade configurations of different campuses be K to 7 and H12? Absolutely. If you have a different configuration that you can suggest it. But if we don't get that as a main theme, then we would have to, that wouldn't be something that we would do, but please do make those suggestions. Could the schedules for the grade 8, 9 and the academy align so that students can mingle and work together? That's very smart. Sure, we can look into that. I don't have an answer as to yes or no, but we can certainly examine it. Looking at Assistant Superintendent Hamlet, and he's like, yes, we can. Would it be possible to utilize Heffley School on a hybrid model? Example, utilizing the school in the off season, September, November, April, and June, or a few days a week instead of full time. That's very smart. This is a very smart thing that you're saying. Yes, of course, we can consider different models. Therefore, getting some of the benefits that Heffley has to offer and the benefits of what Sun Peaks has to offer. This is excellent. Very well stated. Thank you. Yes, the answer is yes. That's a smart answer, and we can consider it. We are happy if you have more questions that you can feel free to send them. It's not so much that I don't have 20 more minutes, it's that the people online probably don't. So please know someone did write, could we have 20 more minutes? In my world, yes, but in many of your worlds with children and all the other things you're balancing out there, you might say no. So we'll stick to be respectful to our timeline, but it's not that we aren't interested in your questions. You can certainly, when you fill out the survey, you can provide them. And you also have Jen Boyle. You can, if you have, further questions, she can just forward them to me and we will compile them. So on that note, I have to say thank you again. I appreciate everything that you've shared this evening. We all do, and we're very appreciative that you came to the table. And we know that it was frustrating to get on. So thank you for your patience, persistence, and your diligence in answering the questions and offering your insights. We do appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening.